All right. Welcome. Tim Judge, founder of Home Search TV and associate broker with Grand Lux Realty. And we're here with Michael Levy, the principal at Grand Lux Realty. How you doing, Michael? Welcome back.
I'm well. Hey, Tim, how are you today? Good to
Doing
see you.
great. Doing great. Very excited. Spring
Yeah.
market's in full swing now.
Oh, yeah, it certainly is. So today I thought we would talk a little bit about sellers and selling and good strategies so that sellers can make more money and increase their, I call it buyer perceived value,
Hmm.
right? So we know that houses don't really sell for necessarily what a seller wants. Usually a house is valued within a value range. It could be a big range and it could be worth more than the high end of the range or less than the low end of the range, depending on what buyers think about the value of the house and what their impression is and how they feel about it. Feelings matter, and all the senses really matter, right? So buyers analyze these houses and they compare houses with each other. And so I just wanted to give a little bit of ideas that sellers can do to maximize their buyer perceived value. So this is an amazing time to be a seller right now. Prices in our area are through the roof
Hmm.
and definitely towards the high end of their range of what it's been over the years, over the past number of years. And that's because there's such a low amount of inventory and such high demand around here. So buyers really have very slim pickings to choose a house, and interest rates are high, which is also makes it a little bit more difficult for buyers as well. And the fact that there's such few houses on the market means that with demand high and inventory low, sellers can push their price and push
Right.
their value. And if they want to get it, and they can get it sometimes or frequently,
Hmm.
but there are some things that they should do to really improve their buyer perceived value. So let's jump right into it. The first thing that I always suggest to sellers when they're listing with me is that the things that they do to their house that make it more accessible and nice to the buyer before they come on the market will do more to maximize their buyer perceived value than anything else. And I use the 1 to 3 ratio, 1 to 3, right?
Hmm.
So for every dollar the seller spends properly, we want it to be worth $3 more in the eyes of the buyer.
Yeah.
And we don't want to spend $3 on something that will make it worth only $1 more in the eyes of the buyer.
Right.
So we want to find the cheapest things to do to the house to get it ready so that it appears to be worth the most. So the first thing is always declutter and depersonalize and clean it up,
Hmm.
including washing the windows, maybe power washing the siding or the deck if it seems old and dingy looking, um, and focus on things that are kind of sitting on the floor. Focus on all the piles that are in the corners. Um, as much as you can, if you're a seller, you want to make the furniture appear smaller to maximize the feeling of the space around the furniture and the square footage of each room.
Right.
You want to make the rooms look like what they're supposed to be used for. So you don't want to have a like a bed in the dining room. I mean, nobody has a bed in the dining room. I'm
Yeah.
exaggerating, but make the rooms, stage the rooms how they should be used. I like to take all the leaves out of the dining room table to make it smaller. I
Hmm.
want to be able to walk around easily all the furniture and make the house flow in terms of the layout of the furniture. In other words, we don't want any dead ends. We want
Right.
nice flow, good feng shui, the foot of the bed facing the door in the bedroom. Um, Frequently, the decision to not buy a house is made between the sidewalk and the front door. So it's
Hmm.
very important for sellers to really focus on the exterior of the house at the front.
Hmm.
Um, Things like a new welcome mat, a nice new mailbox, nice exterior lights, a good walkway that doesn't have tripping hazards or loose stones on it. Trim down those front shrubberies. You don't want it all overgrown in the front. make the walkway wide and attractive to a buyer, to lure them in, to say, come on, welcome. Um,
Right.
this is something really important, and a lot of times, and you want to create a little bit of a warm feeling, of a warm, welcoming, comforting, comfortable feeling for buyers as they're walking up the front walkway. Smells are important also in the house. Get some
Yeah.
honest feedback. Does my house smell good inside? And I'm not talking about lighting fragrant candles or using um, chemical plugins, right? I'm talking about
Right.
just regular natural smell. We want to make sure it doesn't smell like dirty laundry or cat urine or whatever else is in the house. It should smell good so that when a buyer comes in, it feels good and it smells good. Smell, it turns out, is a pretty important
Yeah.
aspect here.
I would think that, well, one of the things that you're talking about is cheap and easy fix up is paint, and the paint smell is way better than most other smells
Yeah,
for a buyer to come in and see that you're maintaining the house well. Paint is cheap and easy to come by, relatively. So even if it's just the front entryway that you paint it the same color, doesn't matter, because it doesn't have to be absolutely perfect, especially if you're doing it the same color. But then that air of fresh paint is in there, and it just makes for a well kept home, and smells fresh as well.
yeah, yeah. If you're going to repaint, I like the very lightest gray for now for interior walls. That
Yeah.
seems to be what's in desirability now.
Yeah.
So,
If you're painting for colors, for sale, you want to go neutral and lighter. Obviously, letting the most light into the room helps, but having light wall colors will magnify that as well. Yeah.
right, of course, you want to make sure all the light bulbs are working. Everything that opens and closes, turns on and turns off, you want to make sure works properly. A lot of times, I also suggest to sellers to pre inspect their home before they come on the market.
Hmm.
In this way, because a lot of times condition issues can negatively affect buyer perceived value.
Yep.
And a lot of times, these are things that can easily and cheaply be repaired by the seller before they come on the market, which I would recommend doing. And if it's a big ticket item, for example, if the house needs a new roof, it's always better for the seller to disclose the new roof and
Right.
give a credit to the buyer up front as opposed to getting renegotiated later. Because here's what happens: the buyer will come, like the house, make an offer, negotiate the seller down to their rock bottom price, get an acceptable offer, then do their inspection, then find out that the house needs a new roof. And then the buyer comes to the seller and wants another reduction for the value of the new roof from
Right.
the acceptable offer number. This puts the seller in a very difficult position because number one is if he pushes this buyer away, he'll have to start all over through the process.
Right.
It could take weeks or months to find another buyer to get to this point. Number one. Number two, the next buyer will likely want a new roof also. So the seller will just be in the same position again. And so what usually happens in these cases is that the seller acquiesces and gives the
Hmm.
buyer the money. Now, the flip side would be that the seller discloses to the buyer that the house needs a new roof and gives the buyer credit for the value of the new roof up front.
Right.
Then the buyer cannot renegotiate the accepted offer pursuant to the results of the inspection to get a new roof, right? So this is a smart strategy for a seller. And of course, if you have an inspection and you have checked off all the derogatory items and fixed this and that and given a credit for this or that, you can even upload that inspection report to the listing on the MLS
Hmm.
and make it available as a public document so that everybody can see how the condition is of the house. In
Right.
this way, you will avoid the condition risk fear that buyers have.
Right.
When
And
we
then just point out that we should go back to that new disclosure report, that you can't waive that anymore, and you have to disclose what you've done or what you know.
Right,
We did a video with one of our lawyer partners recently, so we should go back and take a look at that one. It goes into depth on that.
Right. That's a new rule now, a new law.
Yep.
Sellers must fill out a property condition disclosure report, and they can no longer give a $500 credit to the buyer and avoid filling that out. And so it transfers the onus of liability to the seller.
Right.
That's what this document does. Um, so when we price a house to come on the market, we look at all the other houses that are on the market in that post office and school district, and we do something I call price positioning. So I like to price it just below a group and just above a gap, and I want to be cheaper than a house that's nicer and more expensive than a house that's not as nice.
Right.
And I like to price also just below a round number. So I prefer to price at 999, 999 instead of a million.
Mm.
So that's a trick I learned from Crazy Eddie back in the old days. So so in this way, we want to use that price as the bait. Pretend that you're going fishing and you want to use that price as bait to lure in the buyers. If you're getting showings and you're getting offers and interest, you're probably at the right price. If you're too low, the buyers will bid it up above the asking price. If you're too high, it's possible they may not offer at all. So you want to quickly, if you realize that you're too high and you're not
Mhm.
getting offers or enough showings quickly, you probably want to make some price reductions relatively quickly. And so that you make sure you don't want the house to
Yeah.
sit, and you want to make sure that you're getting enough buyers in to make some offers. It's also very important to get feedback from every showing and make sure that if there are any issues with the house, we want to resolve those while we're on the market, right? So if
Right.
a couple of buyers are saying they don't like this or that, we want to fix those things, and that's really really helpful. And then we can kind of zero in on our price, and buyer and sellers will see that as soon as you get to the correct price, you will have a flurry of action and offers. Sometimes it takes a couple of price reductions to get there. I'd
Mhm.
rather price it high and have a couple of price reductions and then have a little bidding war so it goes above that new asking price than price too high and not have any price reductions and have it sit for six
Yeah.
months or so or more. That's really a bad mistake that sellers can do. And
Right.
um, and I also don't want to price it too low, just in case there's only one bidder there and he comes on the first day and offers full price, but then maybe we could have gotten more for it.
Yeah.
So this is always kind of my strategy here, and you know, it does take some elbow grease, for us as realtors, as agents, and we want to roll up our sleeves and we want to really help our agents to really make the house shine. And that's a big part of our job, the part before the house comes on the market,
Right.
help them get it ready. So that's kind of what I wanted to share today.
Mhm.
And I think we have a screen about White Plains values, right?
I do. Yeah. Um, there we go. This is that. Let me do that. Yeah, here it is, White Plains.
Right.
Just for today. You'll see that this market meter right here is still in a strong seller's market for White Plains. That's at 56. So you can see that they're getting strong prices in White Plains, where the median list price is 800,000, just a touch over that. For new listings, it's closer to 950. And then I like to go down here towards the inventory. There's only 29 homes on the market. That's a very strong reason why these prices are so high. And if you look at the larger graph, you see back in 2019 there was closer to 150 here, and this is 2021 is 100 houses, and now April of 2024 we're looking at these low numbers, 27 to 32, 90-day and 7-day average. So this is why we have such pricing pressure on these houses and why sellers can ask for these prices. Usually there's a lot more competition on the market. Um, and that would, of course, with more supply, um, your demand for your single house is going to go down there. So we're in a good spot for sellers. And that's why buyers also need some good representation to find out what's going on in the market and how to attack these prices and these very few homes that are on the market comparatively. over the last few years.
Right. By the way, there's a new rule now. It should be taking effect in July. It's not settled yet, but what it means is that I don't know if you guys have heard about it, but it's this National Association of Realtors lawsuit, and it basically means the uncoupling of commissions.
Right.
So sellers will listing agents will no longer um, take both sides of the commission from the seller. They can if they want to. The seller is still allowed to offer a commission to a buyer's agent if they want to, but also sellers can come on the market and not offer a commission to a buyer's agent, forcing the buyer's agent to get paid from their buyer. So this will affect the market and it will make some changes, but it's hard now to predict exactly what those changes will be. So we'll see how that
Yeah.
goes. It's my prediction that most sellers will still offer a commission to a buyer's agent, because after all, you want to motivate the buyer's agents to bring their buyers to show and promote your house to their buyers, right? That's the whole goal of being on the market. So why would you not want to take advantage of that opportunity? And I'd rather even offer a little bit more to a buyer's agent and price it a little bit higher to include the commission. So, but yeah, this really shows, and look at the rent number, how the rent has really spiked recently.
Yes.
Median rent in White Plains, $6,100 a month. That's just crazy,
Yeah.
crazy. And you can see how the prices are coming up and the days on the market are going down and the prices are coming up and the action is high and the rents are going up and you know demand is strong and inventory is low. And so, this is a basic economic, this is capitalism at work here. The economy, supply and demand is happening, right? And this is repeating itself all over these cities here in Westchester and the lower Hudson Valley and Western Connecticut.
Um, yeah, you want to talk a little bit about the reach that Grand Lux Realty has
Yeah.
comparatively?
Yeah, so we have 6 offices in the lower Hudson Valley. We're also licensed in Connecticut. We work in the Bronx, Westchester, Putnam, Dutchess, Rockland, Orange, and Fairfield, Connecticut. We have about 225 licensed agents working with us, about 25 licensed in Connecticut. And we work also on the Smart MLS, primarily on the one key. And we do enough transactions so we are ranked in about the top 5% of all the companies in our board of realtors, which is a substantial size. There's tens of thousands of real estate agents in our area and thousands of companies. And so Grand Lux Realty is, the little engine that could here. We're plowing through. It's a tough market, but there are still transactions to be had. So agents, GLR agents, go get it.
I was just pulling up a couple different towns as you were mentioning all that. I pulled up Greenwich, Connecticut, of course, my hometown. As you can see, not as strong into the sellers market as the other ones. You saw. I also pulled up Rye just before this one, which wasn't as strong as White Plains. But here, 32 houses on the market in Greenwich. Of course, the list prices are much higher there, 6.1 million median list price. But the inventory is 92, and as you can see, even over in Greenwich, it used to be 400 listings back in 2019 before the pandemic and all this market manipulation going on. But now down here in 92, which again makes it very strong, and of course is reflected in the prices of what's going on in Greenwich, Connecticut.
Right. Supply in our area is down by 75%,
Yeah,
which seems crazy to me.
yeah,
But a lot of homeowners have locked in a rate that's a pretty good rate, 2 or 3 or under 4% for their
right.
mortgage, and they don't want to sell their house and buy another mortgage and have to have a rate in 7%, which is
Yeah, they call
unfair.
it like the golden handcuffs. You might want to move, you might want to change, but you have such a good mortgage today on the house you own that you don't want to move, and rates being 6-7%. Some people have things under 4, and that will definitely affect your decision. But the housing market is still very, very strong. So
In the end, you
that's a
have
good
to
thing.
do what is, what is presented in your life's journey. So if you have to
Yes.
move, you've got to move.
Yeah.
So not
That's
everybody
really
has.
the driver of most real estate decision. It's the lifestyle that you need to live, whether you're having kids or your kids are moving out or whatever it is. That affects where you're living and how much room you need. Um,
Yep.
so yeah, good stuff affecting the market there. Thank you very much. I see we have some people that chimed in today. Very welcome. We're expanding the video programming for Grand Lux Realty, and I'm very excited to be helping out. So,
Great.
any final thoughts, Michael?
No, that was great. Thank you so
Great.
much, Tim. It was
We'll do
great
it
to be
again
with you,
soon.
and we'll see you soon. Okay. Have a nice weekend, everybody.
Great. Thank you.